everyone, and welcome back to H2 Combo, bringing you another giveaway, and we're also going to talk about the latest strategy to beat the next Greninja raid. That's right, Greninja is coming in next week, and a lot of people have not been discussing this strategy, and I'm a little surprised. So I think a lot of people are going to be caught off guard. So I'm going to do you the favor and tell you what I think is going to happen. And whenever it does get dropped, you're going to have a strategy to know how to beat this guy. So that will be at the end of this video. But at the very beginning of this video is we're going to talk about how to, for your chance to enter in to win one of these three guys. These are three shiny Great Tusk I'm going to be giving away. Not only that, if for some reason in the previous giveaways I've listed out people who have won. And they have not collected their gifts. A few people have. So if you are listed in there, be sure to go ahead and claim your prize. Just let me know as through Discord or old-fashioned email if that's really what you want to do. But if you don't claim your prize, I'm going to give it to the followers up to after the first three winners of this competition. So please be sure, even if you don't win one of these guys, you have a chance to win probably even a shiny Fluttermane. And I may just throw something in just just as a consolation prize. Who knows? But without further ado, let me explain how you can enter in for this contest, what you have to do. So what I'm going to ask you to do is this. Number one, like this video, obviously. Watch it all the way through. Make sure you get all the details that you can, because it is important, these raids that are coming up. Number two is be sure you're subscribed to the channel. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. I cover mystery gifts. I cover these giveaways. I cover max raid battles, even single and double battles to get you to Master Ball. You don't want to miss out on this information, so it is worth the subscription. And number three, please comment down below. Tell me what your favorite Paradox Mon is. I want to know what your favorite Paradox Mon is. For me, it's really kind of hard to say because they're actually all pretty cool, pretty useful. I really like the look of Roaring Moon. I think that was probably one of the cooler ones of the whole bunch, but the futuristic Paradox Mons look pretty tight, like Iron Valent. I really like Iron Hands, obviously, to use for raids. So please just tell me down below which one you like. So without further ado, we're going to get into the next segment of this video, and I'm going to show you how to take out that Greninja, and a strategy a lot of people don't know about. And I think you're going to get caught off guard. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, guys, here we are. We're back on Pokemon database, and let's go really fast through Greninja real quick. It is a water dark type, so it's going to have those moves in its repertoire and what it's going to hit with. And I did a whole other video more on this, so I'm not going to cover it too much in this video. But really, the main summary of that was the Ninja Pokemon. I really think it's going to have, or it's going to spam use Double Team, just like in the Cinderace raids. He used bulk up a lot, like almost every single turn. So I really think the same idea is going to play with Greninja, but instead of bulk up, it's going to be double team or even smoke screen on your part. So I don't think anybody's really planning going into this raid that that's going to be the gimmick. I think everybody's saying, we'll just build a Gastrodon, go in there with a good old Garchomp, and you just lay waste to it with some ground type attacks. That could work, but if you miss, what good is your attack? So that's one reason why I really want to go over this, and I'm going to show you a strategy of how to get through that whole little setup. So let's go through the teams that I've actually had built up. I did just talk about Gastrodon. I think that is one that you can bring in. I think HP special attack build is just fine. I also think it also the reason why no defense investment is because you can Amnesia or Acid Armor up to build up your physical and special defense if needed, and Earth Power is just a really good attack there. Ground Terror type is very useful. Make sure it is Storm Drain if you're going to use it. That way it could absorb and protect the entire team. So I think at least one team should have a Gastrodon on it if things are not going to go as well planned. The reason why I also say that is, just FYI, if it isn't going to use double team, then by all means go in and knock it out with some ground type attacks and you should be good. But I really think it is, and the Gastrodon gets Clear Smog. Clear Smog resets all stat changes to 0. So if it is going to double team, it's going to go through that, whatever it has, it's going to hit them, and it's going to reset those stats. Now that is a good bad thing, because if you do, that resets everything back to 0. In other words, if it was pluses or minuses on their stat line. So that's one you know, pro and con that it actually has, but it's useful to get that evasion back to where it needs to be, and that's going to be the key that's going to be bouncing around. I want to bet my money on it. In fact, if I am correct that it is going to spam double team, you owe me a subscription. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. I think I earned it after that point, if I can call this, because I really think this is the route it's going to go, and nobody's really covering it. I don't know why that nobody's assuming that's going to go in with this. I was like, come on, these guys are going to do this. So with that being said, if it's going to be using evasion, I am going to bring back up Corviknight here, because it has a move defog. You can also use Scizor. It does resist poison type attacks and other water type attacks that it actually has, but it doesn't really pack a punch. The mirror armor is really good in case it tries to use smoke screen against you. It'll bounce that right back at him and lower his accuracy instead, so it might be useful. But I think defog is going to be useful. I'm going to bring that back up here in a second. I just wanted to bring up, I think a defog user is going to be useful here. And now let me jump back also to why I think they're going to do accuracy jobs, because if you actually look into the description that it has going through, hey, here are two Pokemon that you'll also have raids with, is Lucario and Bronzong. They have brought these up. Why bring up these two in general for this battle? Yeah, Lucario, it makes sense. They're both steel type. They basically are immune to poison. And Lucario is really good. It has a psychic type attack. It could go either physical or special. Its special is actually a little bit higher. You could go in with this similar build. It gets Life Dew, Calm Mind Up, Justified in case it gets hit by dark type attacks. But the one thing I want to bring up here is that kind of jumps out to me with Lucario is Aura Sphere. Aura Sphere does not check accuracy. It's going to always hit at an 80 base power damage. Now, that sprung something in my head, as well as Bronzong. Bronzong gets a move called Gravity. Gravity also does something very interesting. It basically gets rid of ground immunities. In other words, things that are flying, basically are levitating, gets rid of it. A lot of people don't use it. So let me jump to this over here, back over here, and give a better description of what Gravity actually has. It does an okay job, but this is one thing it does say: removes ground resistance, prevents certain moves from being used, lowers all Pokemon's evasion by 2 stages. So not only do you lower your opponent, you also lower yourself. So there's some pros and cons to this, but it just makes me think for a second, why is this, why recommend these above anything else? So that tells me right off the bat, I bet my money on it that he's going to be spamming double team like every single turn, just like Cinderace did with bulk up. I really think so, and I think you're going to need a way to fight that, and a lot of people are going to get frustrated, throw a fit. So that's why I'm here to help you out and get you where you need to be here. So jumping back over to Showdown, that's one reason why I brought up, I'm not going to say bring in Lucario and Bronzong. You want to try those two, go on ahead. I think that one's decent, but I think there are some better mons. Now, with that being said, I think Garchomp's okay as long as you have a Gastrodon in there. I think you need something to check the accuracy, like a Corviknight, something with defog. I think it's going to be best that way. It targets just that one mon and brings it back down. I don't think this works when the shield is up, so that is what I'm kind of concerned about, and maybe Bronzong works a little bit better on that side. But with that being said, it may be best to go ahead and knock out Greninja before it even has a chance. So I don't have a solo method. However, I do have a good team cheese method, I guess you would call it. Very similar to the Slowbro raid that they actually had. Everybody was recommending Slowbro, and you could solo with Slowbro with Cinderace. Similar to that, but I wouldn't bring Slowbro or Slowking into this one because it has a psychic type and it's weak to dark type attacks that Greninja will have. So I would not recommend that. Instead, I'm going to recommend bringing Fluttermane. And I know we've already talked about Fluttermane dealing with the Charizard raid, but I think you could bring in a similar build with stored power. It does get stored power. Unfortunately, it doesn't get Nasty Plot. It's a ghost type that doesn't get Nasty Plot, but it does get Fake Tears and Misty Terrain. And Misty Terrain is just there to prevent poisons that which I didn't even see it get Toxic, but I'm sure they're going to try to find a way around that. But with this build being brought in mind, I think you could do the same thing with the Slowbro raid. I don't know if some of y'all got into raids with people with the Quillfish as well, because this was the strategy that came in. Turn 1, you had the leader was a Slowbro, whoever starts the raid was. And then everybody else that came in the raid had a Quillfish. Quillfish gets Intimidate. They intimidated Cinderace. Turn 1, all the Quillfish used the Acid Spray move. to actually lower the defense by 2. So if each one did it, you got it max load all the way till the very end, on the very end at the very first turn. Then they started using a move called acupuncture, and that's why I brought up Toedscruel. Toedscruel is a very good substitute for Qwilfish, and one reason why I'm saying bring Toedscruel in, I hope that's the way you say it right, Toedscruel in besides Qwilfish, is because it has a higher special defense and it's a lot more bulkier than Qwilfish. Qwilfish is not as bulky as this guy, so I really think using this one as an alternative will be very much useful. So I think these two, Fluttermane and Toedscruel, one Fluttermane as the leader, 3 Toedscruels coming in at doing the same kind of move, will one-shot this guy within 3 turns. Now that's assuming they do not have an evasion drop. Okay, you could literally do the same thing. Turn 1, acid spray 3 times with the Toedscruel. The next 2 turns, acupuncture onto the Fluttermane. Fluttermane Calm Minds up, which is not as good as Nasty Plot, but whatever, you know, we're going to use what we can get here. But Calm Mind up by 3 stages, and then it will one-shot. And I'll even show you the calculations here in a minute that it does work. Now, if for some reason that doesn't seem to work, or it seems like, okay, now he's starting to use double team a lot, and that's going to be something they are going to spam, same strategy can work. Leader still comes in with Fluttermane, except just bring 2 Toedscruels and 1 Corviknight, for example, or some defog user that will lower it. Let the defog user just keep spamming defog to keep that evasion lowered, so every time it double teams, it's going to negate that back out. Don't use the clear smog. If it does, well, I mean, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Don't use the clear smog, because then it'll lower down or reset that special defense drop back to normal. So we really don't want to use Gastrodon in that place. I already thought that through. But same thing can happen. It just would use one more turn. So instead of 3 turns, you would end up with 4 turns. So, for example, same thing would happen turn 1. This one's just going to keep on defogging, but you're just going to spend one more turn hitting acupuncture onto the Fluttermane, and Fluttermane hits one more Calm Mind, and it will one-shot that Joker. And let me show you what I mean by that. Let's jump over to the stat line here. I want real quick, by the way, why Fluttermane? If you notice, it takes neutral damage from dark type, poison type, and water type attacks. And it has a very high special defense. That's one reason why I'm recommending that. Toedscruel, same thing. Believe it or not, even though it's a grass type, the ground makes it go back to neutral poison type damage. Dark type is neutral, and water is neutral as well. I can't talk. It will cause it to go last in moveset in terms of speed, but I mean, it's just going to hit though anyway. All right, so what we're going to do now is go over to damage calculator. I'm going to show you some quick damage calculations. Now, keep this in mind, Greninja is going to be about 25 to 30 times higher in HP. So we're looking at about 8,500 HP. So we want to do about 8,500 damage to this guy. So I'm gonna just kind of keep it very simple and run through it as quick as I can. By the way, also a lot of people are thinking, well, what if it's going to be Greninja Ash? What are we going to do? I don't think it is going to be that, guys. Yeah, if it is, I'll be surprised, but honestly, that's just a little bit of change in the strategy, and if that happens, I'll cover it, because as you can see, that guy would have just a little bit more, you know, attack power. I don't think they're gonna give you that. If it is, I think they would blow it out of proportion a little bit more than it is, but hey, you never know, they could surprise you. But based on the mystery gifts, I wouldn't be too surprised if they don't help you out on that side. Anyway, back to the whole thing here. So what I want to bring up is the whole stored power here, and how much you're going to need to do. And like I said, 3 turns, if you had 3 Toedscruels, is going to work, because once you do the acid spray turn 1, it's going to be at -6 HP. And then if we were to just do a Calm Mind up, I know this is going to be a little tedious here, but that's going to give you +1 on both special attack, special defense. You're doing this much damage at turn 1. So obviously we're going to need to do a little bit more. With acupuncture though, acupuncture is going to boost the stats by 2. I don't have them all up here because they don't give you that option, but you can kind of get an idea. Even with evasion, it'll count, and they don't even have it on this calculation. So we're going to just substitute that. It does a random one, supposedly. But let's say you had 3 Toedscruels, you do turn 2, another set of acupunctures. It's going to end up being +6 by the end of that turn, and it'll have this much damage. Not only that, you're going to Calm Mind one more time. That'll be another plus. So as you can see, you're doing almost half the amount of damage. So you can already tell if I go ahead and do another turn and bust it up, then you're going to see that that is going to cause the one shot that will knock it out. Now, this is assuming it does not get the double team evasion boost. That's going in with 3 toad scrolls, and I get it sounds a little weird, but it will work, but that's assuming that you can hit it. So alternatively, what will happen is, like I said, bring in a defog user, and all that will do is, if we did the same amount of turns, so you're at turn 3 right here, what's going to happen here is you're basically not going to get up the +6 at all. You're going to get +4 by this point. You'll still, and even if you have up to just 2, the first turn y'all hit up to here and you get it to -4, it's still okay. It's still fine. First turn for toad scrolls, you would hit acid spray. Next 2, you would do acupressure twice onto flutter mane, while the bird or defog users over there causing defog. It's still going to work. As you can see, you still get to here on turn 3. By turn 4, you just hit it one more time. You can call mine up one more time, going to give you that good old boost, and then another acupuncture is going to give you the amount you need to take it out. So at least between turns 3 to 4, you will have this thing knocked out, but you will need some good teammates that will actually help you out with this. Now, this is to kind of cheese it and to spam it a lot like people are doing with the Cinderace raid. So you don't have to do it this way. I think you could go in with a good old-fashioned Gastrodon and just be okay. If someone else is bringing a Gastrodon, then that knows Clear Smog. It's kind of hard to tell if people know that what's going to happen. So just plan for the worst on that, because I don't think a lot of people know that that thing's going to use double team, but I'm betting money on it. So all right, guys, I think that'll do it for this episode. Once again, if you found this video helpful, hit that like button, subscribe for more content, don't forget about the drawing, and comment down below, what is your favorite Paradox Mon? I do want to know that. So, until next time.